Okay, so here we are. Car's up, as you can see from the photos earlier, and hopefully this is showing the everything you need to see. So first off, then, this is not the rear roll bar. This is the standard roll bar, and I'm replacing it with the Japanese domestic market roll bar, which is thicker, and I'll show you that later on. But it's thicker and supposed to give less body roll at the rear and better handling. So I thought I'd swap it out, see what it was like. It's pretty straightforward. First off, these I'm going to loosen these 4 clamps which hold it to the back of the car to start with. They weren't too bad. You can see, you might be able to see some staining on the back of the car, which is where I've sprayed it with plus gas before I started on this. It's got to make sense to me to do that. And this one's quite loose. I've actually already broke this one off. That one's quite loose. It's actually hand tight, that one. Can't quite see, so I think that's pretty good. That one there, it says 2 bolts, and then here again, you can just see under the car I've got, because I'm 20 years ago I'd have probably just done it on a jack. These days I've got it on axle stands, and also got a wheel under there just in case it decides to fall, and also on the other side, 1 axle stand, and I got the jack in just as a sort of belt and braces really. And then here again, that one's quite loose, and you can see now it's starting to loosen up. And again, that one's pretty loose. That will come off by hand particularly fine. Look at that, you can see it's pretty wiggly now, and it's not really held on a lot. And then you just see beyond that, you see the drop links. It's held in there, so we're going to get them out. They can be a bit more difficult, I think, because they can get quite rusted on. I know I've heard a lot of people cutting them off, but we'll see how we get on in a bit when I get onto them. Okay, this is a bit snug in here. You can see the roll bars come off there as the mounting bracket, and just pull that off, and the bush just splits off and comes off here like that. I've got new bushes to go on. Obviously the old bushes are worth replacing them anyway, because they do get worn. I mean, this car's not had an incredibly hard life, but they do get worn, and obviously the new roll bar is thicker diameter, so they won't fit anyway. You can see the drop links here. I've got new drop links because they've kind of got a ball joint on them. As you can see, that one there just moving. These can be a bit of pain. I don't need to take that one out, obviously, because that's going to come away with the roll bar, and it won't be going back on because I've got new drop links. But obviously I need to take this one off because that's what's connected to this part of the car, which I'm not actually even sure what that's called. I hope you can see this. I don't know if I'm up close. These are a bit of a pain because they're 14mm, and you can get a socket on fairly easily, one like that. But they have an Allen head, because obviously because they're a ball joint, they turn in there, so they have a kind of Allen head. You have to put this Allen head in here, or Allen key in here. I have to scoop a bit of the crap out of the hole first, because it can be full of a bit of rust. And then you have to, that eventually, and then you put a 14 on it with a ring spanner, and as you turn it, the Allen head will butt up against there, and then you can turn the spanner. It sort of holds it there, and you can just see it's a slow business. But you can actually see the nut is moving along the bolt, and hopefully it'll keep on doing that. I'll probably put a bit of WD-40 on it because I don't really want it to shear or round out the nut, which would be a bit of a disaster. So it is quite tight on there because of all that rust on the head. So we'll come back to this. I'll come back to this in a minute. Okay, well, I got stumped on the driver's side, I'll be honest. Oops, that's the lens. And this one, you may be able to see, it's half cut through. Now, what makes this difficult, and it's not always clear when you read this on the web, is you've got to put this spanner, as I showed you on the other side on here. The reason I've moved on to the passenger side is because the driver's side just, it was just causing me problems. I'll show you why in a minute. I thought I'd give this one a go. Then got to put this Allen key in, and then the Allen key kind of holds the inner threaded part still, and then you kind of turn this bolt out. Now, of course, eventually you turn it and the Allen key goes round and then it, eventually the Allen key impacts the side of the vehicle, as I've said earlier. Not ideal that it's got this, not that they would have designed it for taking this off in this way, but it would have been helpful if it had a flatter edge to hold that. But I managed to get this one all the way to the threaded end. You can about see of the I hope this bloody camera's working on the right angle. The threaded end, and then it just went solid, and there's so little room to move. It's a short spanner really to get the purchase I needed. I'm not a particularly strong bloke, but to get the purchase I needed was too difficult, and it's absolutely solid now. I mean, it's solid. So what you do, if you can get it that far down, you can actually expose a lot of the thread, as you can see now. Of course, not ideal, because if you're going to reuse them again, the drop links are pretty inexpensive, and obviously I'm not going to reuse them again. So you can see I've started to saw through it, and you can just see it there. And I'm not far off getting through that. You can just see it there. I'm about halfway through, I suppose. So a little hacksaw. Obviously, again, it's difficult to get in with a hacksaw with a cage. This thing's pretty good, like a Stanley knife thing with a blade. It's a little bit old, to be honest, because the bloody thing's blunt. But you can see I don't need that in. I'm just putting that in there. You can just see I'm slowly work this through, and it's a bit laborious. And of course, it's not really nice to have to take a hacksaw to anything. But you know, this has been on there 10 years, so you know, sometimes just to get it off, and put a new drop links in anyway, just to get it off makes sense, really. So there we are. Okay, this one a little bit more difficult then. You can see the gap there. I didn't get as much of this out. You can see it's hardly got the bloody bolt up the thread at all. So to hacksaw is a little bit more difficult to get in there, and also because of the angle of it, I'm a bit more restricted. So I thought I'd have a different approach with this one. I can always hacksaw it if I get bored, but I thought I'd try a different approach. So it's got to be binned anyway, and you can see I've started to drill it. You can see the swarf there. So I'm drawing on the old. There's a cracking Elton John joke, but it's not a Makita. Makita, you'll never know. It's a DeWalt. So I'm going to just give this a go and see how it works out. We'll start. Oh, it's a good old reaming out. Try and get to the centre of this bolt. And then it's just collapsing on itself. So look, how's that looking in there? It's a pretty hard old bolt, this thing. Okay, so I've done a lot of drilling, as you can see. Get the bloody thing on. I think I'm pretty well through the nut there. You can see it's pretty deep. Maybe, just about. You would expect this to just knock off in a minute. You should expect it just to knock off, because it's quite thin. The walls are quite thin now. There we are, you can see it's knocked off. There we are, and this baby should just go out of there. And that's all clean. It's beautiful. That's pretty cool, actually. If you can even, so I can see that on the camera. Okay, not ideal. Obviously that nut's not good for much, and but there we have the roll bar. All off. Just need to clean that swarf up, and we're good to go for the next stage.